Welcome back everybody, my name's Sai, and well, this video isn't going to be like the others I've posted. Instead, I feel the need to share my thoughts and feelings on Battlefield 6's current state, and just why I think the player base is dropping so fast. I will state for me, the player base dropping isn't the main concern. The main concern for me is that the main Battlefield audience is now turning on the game. Anyway, Battlefield 6 released and had a huge impression on the FPS scene, winning FPS Game of the Year award. But what's happened to the game for it to now be dwindling on player numbers? For me, it boils down to a few main reasons, and they are content or lack of, gameplay design or audience aim, and issues with the game such as the servers, overpowered guns, and just general bugs and glitches that are currently taking far too long to be fixed. And another side note, speaking of far too long, the last communication from Battlefield regarding community posts was the 19th of December. Now yes, I get it's Christmas and New Year, but you really can't expect a game to stay the same over 2 to 3 weeks if you just leave it alone. But that's my thoughts. If you think I miss anything, feel free to express opinions and thoughts in the comments, as I'd love to read them and see what actual players think the issues are, or what they enjoy about the game currently, as you might actually like the game right now, and as I say, these are just my thoughts into what I think are wrong. So first off, I want to touch on the lack of content. Some would argue that yes, we had Season 1, we had 3 new maps, a bunch of guns and a new vehicle. So surely you should be satisfied and amazed by that. What are you actually complaining about? Well, I have to disagree. We saw 2 new maps, one of which was an absolute disaster in Blackwell, and the other map that is good, however, has now been played to absolute death. And let's not forget the helicopter issues it had to begin with that took way too long to be fixed. Then we saw or had Icelock Empire State, which was also not great and just downright not enough. One Icelock map for 2 to 3 weeks was just crazy to me. How can you possibly think it will retain people even with the outlandish challenges, which by the way also had to be fixed halfway through because they were way too hard or way too many you needed in order to complete that challenge. My point here is that it's just not enough for there to be only 2 new additions, especially with one of them being bad, to a game that you want to last and do as well as possible. In the gaming world today, people expect bigger and better things than ever, and if that isn't met, then they will just jump to the next best thing. And at the moment, it's probably looking like Ark Raiders, which is really holding its own and holding its player numbers. So what do I think needs to happen next in terms of content? I think there is only one thing that really needs to happen, and that is a huge Season 2 that introduces for me at least 4 new maps and a bunch of other stuff like guns and of course the already mentioned Little Bird. It also needs to be done right. I get development takes time and I'm not really qualified to speak about it, but as a player, that's what I'd love to see. I don't even care if some of this is recycled content like Operation Firestorm. I just want other maps in the game for more variety. I for one at the moment load into Battlefield and currently struggle to choose what map I actually want to play. And I shouldn't be feeling like that as someone that is absolutely loving Battlefield 6 right now. So if I'm struggling like that, I presume other players are too. Now, some of you won't agree about recycled content, and that's absolutely fine. I understand where you're coming from. However, something is better than nothing, and if it's just to fill time to allow them to develop new maps, then frankly, I will take the W. The next thing kind of leading on from this is audience and their target audience, and also just map design in general. Now, I personally feel, although some of you won't agree, that targeting COD-like players at the start of the game was a great strategy to gain the most amount of players and take advantage of the time. However, you still need to maintain that healthy balance for your core audience that for most part will be people that like big vast maps such as sandbox gameplay maps, like you remember, and love Battlefield 4. This brings me to the map design and why I think the like of Blackwell, Liberation Peak and others are failing to hit that itch that people have. They are just too damn narrow. They almost feel like I'm forced into gunfights, and that's not how I remember feeling on Battlefield 3, 4 at all. I remember feeling like I'm free, I can take a car to the top of a mountain, snipe, or mess about, or go into flags, close quarters, get nitty gritty with it, and get involved all off of my own free will. But now they are very tight maps with no free range in my opinion, and it's having a detrimental effect on the core audience and how they actually play. This also has an effect on what guns people choose to use, and that's another thing as well, which I won't go into, is the XP. This also doesn't mention the other issues with the maps, like vehicle balancing, and for me, the airspace is too small on most maps, but again, that's another discussion. Overall, I just feel they need to remember who they are. You are Battlefield. Now act like it, for God's sake. Please just bring us some big maps. Now, besides the maps and the content, because let's face it, the core audience will basically stick through the game no matter what they offer, there are other issues underlying, like the servers and the hit registration, that could actually take them players away. Now, the question you should be asking yourself is, does the game actually work when we play it? I spend hours testing dead zones and sensitivities for you guys, but the harsh reality is my best settings guide can't fix bad netcode and server issues. You know the feeling when you're shooting at someone, you realise you're going to lose the gunfight, so duck or run for cover, and then boom, on your end you died while you're round the corner, but on theirs you were already dead before you even moved. This server packet situation needs addressing absolutely as fast as possible, as no matter how much content you provide for a game and offer, it will never be enough if the gameplay feels horrible to the majority of the player base, and I feel like this is how the player base, the core player base at least, is sort of feeling, and is a reason enough for them to leave the game. You lose your core player base, you lose the game. You've already lost a lot of numbers, so please fix this. I would also just like to mention the wasted potential with Portal. Some amazing people are spending lots of time creating new maps and modes, and they don't even get a look in because of all the XP farms currently on offer. And it's creating a Portal that is just overlooked, which is crazy to me, as this was one of the main selling points for some people, being able to create freely and bringing people together to play it. Yet at the moment, they gain no XP, it's riddled by XP farms, and the creations just aren't getting showcased, so therefore they're probably going to give up making stuff, which is really sad to see. There needs to be a whitelist sort of thing of servers or creators when their work gets checked, showcased, and we gain actual XP so people can play the goddamn thing, as I for one would love to test more created maps and modes, as I think it's super fun and just brings a different feel to the overall experience of Battlefield 6 and could really take the game to another height that no other SPS could ever reach. Of course, I will say one way to fix this, as I already mentioned, would be to increase the amount of XP people gain in game, but obviously we won't get into that too much. All I will say is that if they gained the amount of XP you gained in game and therefore increased the leveling faster, there wouldn't be a need for so many XP farms in Portal, and you should actually see them drop off the map, and hopefully that should help the issue without actually doing anything. But that's my opinion on the issue, and let's just leave it at that. Overall, I just think Battlefield really needs to put its foot back on the pedal and just full send it with content, fixes, engagement. Otherwise, we could be in for some major issues with its longevity and the coming year for player base. That pretty much sums up my thoughts and feelings. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please do think about smashing the like and subscribe, and also please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, as I would absolutely love to hear from you about your feelings and thoughts and how you think the game is doing, whether that be well or bad. Leave it in the comment section, let me read it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.